All right, traders, very up and down day today. As you can see, we ended up with a decent red day yet again. So with that said, let's get to it. All right, so before we get started, hit that like button. It's free for you. It's nice for me. It supports the channel, helps it grow, and it also lets me know that you care, right? You do care, right? So anyways, we started off with a red trade here on Rocket. This one's actually right off the belt, kind of came out of nowhere, and it went right up to the halt price sitting here at 54. We actually jumped in because it felt like it wasn't going to halt, and we were looking for that quick drop back down towards 50 before it tried to possibly halt again or go higher, and unfortunately it did halt. And we actually put an order out at like 50. Let me just check. It was at 56 is where we put the order. And as you can see, when it came out of the halt, it actually, let's see, so our order was right around there. And as you can see, when it came out of the halt, it got down to 51.64. So it didn't quite get too close, but then ultimately ended up making another run. And we just waited for the top, got an add, and on this drop, it came right to our average. Obviously, we were looking for the bigger move down. We took half off, hoping that after it maybe bounced a little bit. As you can see, it did bounce all the way back up there towards getting about almost halfway from where this was to high of day. Tried to come back down, but then ultimately held support at that same area where it dropped to in the first place. And obviously, a buyer stepped in and took it all the way back up. We actually tried to put our stop in. We were getting ready to change it. We had it at break even. We were getting ready to change it to above this candle because we figured if it started to curl and got above that candle, we were going to get this squeeze. But unfortunately, we didn't quite get it moved down quick enough. So we ended up just hitting the cover button and ended up getting out where we did. So then we were actually in two trades at the same time on JMIA as well as YALA. We'll start here with JMIA. This one, I was just getting bored, but saw the extension away from previous resistance. If we scroll out, you'll see it was pre-market as well as high of day from yesterday. And I had saw on the 15-minute chart, looking a few days back, there was a decent area sitting here over 37. So when it got up to that area, extended away from this area, we said, okay, let's see if we can play this range a little bit. And didn't quite work out exactly how we wanted. It went through, and we ended up letting it make a new high. It's something I'm going to talk about on the Friday night live stream, but there is one thing I changed starting today that actually worked out here on JMIA, and we'll get into a little bit more detail on it. But basically, it's kind of playing the fake out breakouts. We're accepting a little bit more risk in return, looking for it to be a fake out breakout, or kind of what JMIA did here, where it made a little bit more of a move, made a new high, and then we get some ads in, looking for it to come back down into that previous range. Again, we'll get more into that on the Friday night live stream. I won't be here tomorrow or Friday morning to trade. I do have videos ready to go for both days, but I will be back for the Friday night live stream, so still look forward to that. And as you can see, this started to come down. It felt like it was bouncing here. We tried to let this thing go a little bit further. It missed our order just by a little bit. We were down there towards 36.63, I want to say it was. But ultimately, it came back up. It started to bounce back up, so we took it off for the win. At the same time, we were actually in YALA, which we basically top ticked this one. This was nice. It was kind of grinding, and then it got a nice little pop. Just kind of felt the jiggle, went through 23, failed it. So we actually got in on the south side of 23 there and just kind of rode it down. Almost got to our complete take profit there, but we ended up taking that thing off a little bit early. And as you can see, it did dive a little bit lower right after we got out. So not that big of a deal. So we were actually done for the day, right? We turned a smaller red day into a decent green day, considering things weren't really working out too well. It's just been a weird kind of week where things are kind of trending. And it was 11:10, and DKNG, DraftKings, decided to pop up, and I was literally about to start making my video. And I looked over at the 15, and I was like, oh, there's some pretty key levels right here. And look at the move it made. All the way from 50, all the way through those pre-market highs, as well as the highs from yesterday. And it was going right into these levels. And I was like, this is an A+ setup, right? This is a very good setup. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to break my rules. It was clearly news, and it was clearly after 11 o'clock. As you can see, the 11 o'clock line is right here. And I said, I'm going to break both of my rules, and I'm going to trade this thing because I really liked the way that it was setting up, and unfortunately it bit us in the ass. Got short right below that first level, kind of felt the jiggle. As you can see, we were kind of right. Didn't take this profit. We were looking for a little bit more. Actually, that wasn't on this one. This happened before I got in. So it tried to come down from this candle and then ultimately came up. This was not after I got in. So then it continued up after I thought this, it was the top. As you can see, it tried to come down off of the top of this candle here around that key level at 51.50. Ultimately went higher, felt the jiggle. It tried to go through 52 and got denied. So that was actually where we got an add. And this is where it gave us a chance to get out for a very small profit / break even on this drop here to 51.37. Our average was at like 51.41 or 51.42. And we didn't take it. We were looking for the bigger move down, right? The whole point of this was we were looking for this to come back down and test this 51 area, or at least half of that. And we just couldn't, or not half of that, but we were looking for this to come back down and test that 51 area. And because look at this move, right? Half of that move from 50 all the way up to 52 would be at 51, right? So that's what we were looking for. Unfortunately, that's not what we got. And this is where part of what I changed today came into play. Typically, when I get that add, I would be using high of day as a cut. But as you can see, on this candle, it actually finished at the high. So theoretically, we would have got stopped there if I was doing everything to plan as before, which obviously would have saved me some money in this case. But again, we'll talk about this Friday night, but there was a lot of backtesting involved. But anyways, I was letting this go to see, I mean, look, it's still a pretty continuous move. I wanted to see if it set a new high, if that was going to be the high that I was looking for. And, I was obviously a little bit early. So we ended up letting it make a high. We got the add on the backside, and that put our average right at 52. This was a 1-1-2 scenario. Put our average right at 52. As you can see, it got to 52.08. At this point, I had my order sitting at our take profit for the 10 ball at 51.75. So we were like right in this area, just looking for that 52 break. But I was more than willing at this point, just looking for that 52 break to take off 75 to 90% of my position. So I was ready to hit the button just to get out. I did not like how the trade was reacting. It felt very bullish. Obviously, it was on news. I had, at this point, already realized that I broke both of my rules, and I just wasn't very comfortable with the trade. I was very tempted to take half off once I realized it was not going to try 52 very easily. It kept getting bought right back up to that 52.20 area, and that was where I debated on taking half or not, and unfortunately I did not. And it's going to really suck seeing what this is doing in hindsight, because the fact that I started this early is what kind of forced my hand the way that it did. But this move here is exactly what I'm going to talk about Friday night. How it makes a move, which this is all pretty much one continuous move. It tries to pull back, forces its way back to high of day, tries to make another move, sets that new high, and then ultimately that ends up being the top. I've seen this happen so many times while I've been trading like this, and unfortunately when you start early, there's not much you can do about it, because even if I wanted to try to hold, my max loss per trade would have kicked in, because as you can see, I lost 31.15 on this trade. So hitting $40 wouldn't have been too much further. It would have definitely been before $53 anyway. So there's no way I would have been able to hold through this just based on my rules. That's a rule that you can't not follow because that's the one that keeps you coming back the next day. So there's some lessons to be learned here. Maybe, the 11 o'clock rule and the news rule is not something that should be that hard pressed on, and I'm not even that upset about it. When there was a very good opportunity that presents itself, I can't be too mad about it. I don't feel like I traded this thing wrong, except for I couldn't take any additional risk because I started it so early. And sometimes you're just going to be early, you're just going to be wrong, and you just have to follow your rules in the end when it comes to your risk management. So that was kind of what we got caught up into today, and it ended up being a red day, but I can't be too upset about it because, it happens. All we can do is learn from it. And to be completely honest, looking at this chart now, it just gives me further proof that what I'm looking at as far as these guys stop hunting after this first pullback, looking to try to go higher, This happens so often, and we're going to really get into that on Friday night. So make sure you're there for that. So that's all I got. Don't forget to hit that like button. Again, I always appreciate it. It's free for you. Help support the channel. If you're new here or you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. If you do have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Find me in Discord as well. Find me on Twitter. And you guys have a good next 2 days, and I will see you Friday night. And if I don't see you Friday night, have a good weekend, and I will see you Monday morning. But hopefully I see you Friday night. Peace.